With Thanksgiving over, we are ready to bring in the holidays. We love decorating our home, ready for the holidays to really ring in the season. And in this video, I'm going to take you along and show you what we do to bring Christmas and the holidays into our home. First thing I like to do is create some dried orange slices. I love using natural materials and whatever I can find for my Christmas decorations, and I'm just slicing up an orange into thin slices. I can already smell the orange essence, the oils that are in the peel that have such a heavenly Christmas scent. I also like to not waste anything, so I press little stars out of the tops and the bottoms of the oranges. It's a little bit harder to do, but I have these cookie cutters that are little star shapes, and I'm going to be drying those as well because they're just such a lovely Christmas decoration, and why not make the most out of what I have. Putting the sliced oranges on my dehydrator sheet. This is really nice because I am not occupying my oven if I wanted to bake something while these are dehydrating in my dehydrator that I set up, and they can just sit in there, and it takes maybe, depending on the thickness of the slices, 10 to 16 hours. And we're checking them a little bit later. They have perfectly dehydrated. They have also darkened in color a little bit. I love to use the long winter evenings for making some crafts. Here I am making Christmas fabric stars. They can be used as ornaments, or I can hang them from the windows, and I'm leaving a link for a full tutorial in the description box below this video how you can make your own. Bringing more nature into our home, we have a redwood tree that has these little saplings on the sides, and while we need to trim those anyways, I like to go ahead and try to find the nicest looking ones that look good in a vase or anywhere around the house. And it's just a inexpensive, natural, seasonal decoration. If you don't have a redwood tree or an evergreen in your yard or in your garden, you can always go out into nature and find some. I'm going to be trimming some more, looking for those perfect ones that look good in my vase or have really nice tips and nice shapes. I'm also cleaning up the bottom a little bit because then they last a little bit longer in sitting in water in their vase. Cutting a little bit more. Bring them into my kitchen, filling up my water jug here. This is a really cute one from IKEA that I got a long time ago. They come in 2 different sizes. I'm cleaning up my evergreen branches here, my redwood branches, and organizing them so they look good and a little bit bushy, a little bit like a bouquet. Always looks really nice in my windowsill, as I'm going to set them up in a moment. And then I have my little dried orange peel stars that I'm going to set into the redwood branches. You can't really see it quite yet, but I think I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. That's really nice. I could poke a hole in them and attach a hanging loop to them, but I'm just going to set them in there and hope that they will stay. But they do smell a little bit like the Christmas season, the orange spice and the freshness with the scent of the green. also love bringing the holiday spirit to the front door of our home. Here I have two fairly large nutcrackers that my late mother-in-law actually painted and gave to us many, many years ago. I cherish them and keep them in our attic and bring them out around the Christmas season, set them up the front door. I always love having a natural wreath by the front door. Sometimes I make my own, but this one is actually a store-bought one from Trader Joe's. And I have a ribbon. I have a lot of holiday decorations that I keep in big bins in my attic and take out every year and reuse for as long as I can. So I am cutting down on any waste and trash and just, reuse and recycle. And a red ribbon just makes it so much more festive right away if I can only attach the ribbon to the wreath in the back here. There we go. And making sure that those ends are hanging down really nicely. And I don't mind mixing natural fresh with artificial. We have this long garland that's just a little bit easier than buying a garland from the store. And I don't know how many years I've had this, but I have two little nails up there by the door frame, and I hang these from there if I can find a little nail. And it just really makes the front door so festive and frames it in a really nice way. I think the green makes all the other colors stand out so nicely. Here's our front door decorated for the holidays. Moving back inside the home, this is the doorway between, or the opening between our living room and our dining room. And I have another garland that, despite my best efforts, gets tangled up. And then you can't really see it right now, but we have two indoor cats and they're trying to play with it because they think like, oh my gosh, there's something new happening here. And that's why I'm struggling a little bit with setting this up without letting them get so entangled in the ends, and because they're moving, they're very interested in it. Got to move my chair around. I got to be really careful because years ago I fell off a ladder. That wasn't my fault, but it ended in a really bad knee injury, so I got to be really careful. And I think one of the main reasons for people getting injured in their homes is when they're actually falling off a ladder, so I got to be really careful. Oops, there's another cat trying to catch the ends of the garland, so we'll see what we can do here, and hopefully they'll get used to the Christmas decorations over time and leave that alone and not pull it down. But if they do, we'll just have to deal with it. And I'm always trying to find the perfect balance so that they're hanging down evenly on both sides. And I have an idea of where I want that top garland to be in terms of where it is on the frame. So I gotta check that and then move back to the other side to make that happen. Here's one of those little rascals that's been playing. I got this cute little elk from my mom some years ago with a little bell around its neck, and that is perfect in the windowsill. For the dining table, I like a smaller wreath and have this as a German Advent wreath with candles. I am poking these candle holders into it, and the challenge is to make it even between the four of them, but also to keep them sitting upright as soon as I add the candles to it. I find these at IKEA. They're not exactly perfect. The ones that I find in Germany are a little bit smaller, but these are the best that I can find here in the United States for my German Advent wreath. And I gotta poke that little pin in the bottom of the candles, and then also make sure, because with the weight of the candles, those candle holders may tip a little bit, so I'm just going to do the best I can. And in an upcoming video, I'll talk a little bit more about German holiday traditions in our home, and this is certainly one of them, and I'm going to talk about how we actually use those wreaths. I have some decorations again that I've been saving for years and years and years. These little pine cones that have been spray painted with white paint to look a little bit like they have snow on them, and I set them in there. And then I have another little decoration there with artificial little red berries, but again, I save them year after year and bring them out again. And this is our Advent wreath for the dining table. So I'm lucky to have big windows in our kitchen, and this one I also like to add a string of lights to small lights that I found at IKEA, and I have some nails or pins at the very top of the window frame that I just keep there all year round, so I can reattach these light strings really easily. And I gotta climb up there and reattach that. This is what they look like when I turn them on. I have a similar light string for that opening between the living room and the dining room that, again, despite my best efforts to roll it up for when I stow it away during the year, and it always gets a little bit tangled. So first I got to find that little pin up there and move it down. During the dark time of the year, we love bringing lights into the home, and not bright lights, but lights that are just create this really cozy feeling in the home, and or warm lights like candles and the light strings, little tiny sparkles, almost like tiny little stars inside the house. And here I'm fighting a little bit with that light string. Like I said, I try to roll them up, but because they're also a little bit metal, they like to get twisted easily, and I gotta do the best to untangle them. Move my chair to the other side and hang them up. What they look like when I turn them on. So beautiful, such little lights. And one of my favorite views is looking from the couch through all the way through the kitchen with those two strings of lights and seeing all the lights framing the windows. Every year my husband sets up light strings outside our homes, framing the gables of our gabled home, and it just absolutely looks so nice and like little icicles. Some of the fabric star ornaments I set up on this tray that we have on our coffee table. Again, a little primitive, rustic, Scandinavian inspired, whatever you want to call it, Christmas decoration. And here's that other little helper checking out what's going on in our home. One star has a hanging loop, and that hangs right from the window handles. And two more sit in a shallow wooden dish in the windowsill. For the dried orange slices, I have a lot of them. I'm going to make those strings, those garlands, and first I got to find sizes that look good, and I think what I'm going to do is use 3 bigger ones and then 2 smaller ones in between the 3 bigger ones. And I like to arrange them before I add them to a string to see what they might look like. And I'm trying to find the perfect ones. But again, this is a very natural Christmas decor. It's not plastic. It's not something that we bought. I mean, except for the orange, yes, I did buy, but they're very inexpensive this time of year. And then I just have some very inexpensive jute string that I'm adding here, poking a hole with a toothpick into the orange slices, top and bottom, so I can tie them along the string. Move the string through. It's a little fiddly, but one of the nice things about these crafts is that you slow down, you do something with your hands. It's a quiet activity, which is perfect for this time of year. It's a little bit more meditative and turning inward, thinking about things, and a nice contrast to some of the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. It's not commercial, we're not spending money, we're just doing something quiet, meaningful, and beautiful to bring the beauty and the holiday season into our home. This I'm going to be hanging from that kitchen window, and I love seeing the light shine through the dried orange slices, and they almost look like they're glowing, especially when the morning sun hits that window. Sun is going down later in the afternoon. I like to light some candles, adding this really warm glow of the candles, making the home feel so cozy and so warm and so welcoming. And taking the time to sit down and read a book, have a cup of tea, and maybe some Christmas cookies. Thank you so much for following along. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you gave me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, you can also hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for joining me here, and I'll see you in the next video.